Enjoy the video. Express your insights. Sign up to receive the most recent tales. Seize this moment before it fades into the past. A single conversation dismantled my reality, tearing apart all that I held to be true. It started on what appeared to be an ordinary Friday evening. Mark, my husband, was late once more, just as he has been every other night. With each tick of the clock, the passage of time served as a poignant reminder of his absence. He recounted the moment when Richard, his superior, called him in for an important dinner. To my astonishment, I found myself part of this momentous assembly. Our meetings with Richard were brief, each one enveloped in a sense of professionalism. He stood there, a man in his early 60s, radiating assurance, his words incisive and enthralling, a compelling presence that commanded focus. He radiated an irresistible charm, captivating those around him, yet an underlying tension persisted, suggesting hidden truths waiting to be revealed. The dinner approached, a burden I feared. Mark's work events felt stifling, saturated with empty conversations and forced grins. I donned a sleek navy dress, a delicate shield of support, striking a balance between formality and comfort, while feeling the burden of my own identity beneath it. Upon entering the restaurant, shadows twirled in the muted glow, while soft jazz murmured its secrets. My heart dropped. There were only 3 places set, not 4. "Where is your wife?" I asserted, as I took my place in the seat. His smile faltered, revealing a brief glimmer of uncertainty. "Oh, she's off visiting her sister," he responded, a bit too casually. "Only the 3 of us this evening." The waiter glided over, pouring deep red wine into our glasses. For a brief instant, the conversation drifted into the ordinary, discussions of work, company shifts, and the familiar rhythm of daily life. However, in the moments between the appetizers and the main course, Richard's tone shifted. "I must admit, Mark," he remarked, swirling the wine in his glass, "you are quite the fortunate man." Mark chuckled, his eyes cutting right through me. "I understand." Richard's gaze locked onto mine, and in that suspended moment, time seemed to stretch infinitely before he finally shattered the stillness. "A woman of such elegance, wit, and stunning beauty at the age of 47? Uncommon." My cheeks flushed with warmth. The praise took me by surprise, yet it was the way he spoke that struck me, measured and intentional, every word lingering in the thick tension of the moment. Mark chuckled, unburdened by worries. "You're complimenting her, Richard." Richard smiled, but within his gaze lurked a tempest, a hidden truth waiting to be revealed. "Perhaps," he remarked, savoring his wine, "or perhaps I'm simply being truthful." The dialogue evolved, yet the gravity of Richard's statements remained, a foreboding vow suspended in the atmosphere. His words cut deep, his glances seared, a hidden purpose simmered just below the surface. When dessert was presented, a palpable tension enveloped me, an indescribable dread that clung to my thoughts. In that moment, Richard leaned in, his elbows pressing into the table, as tension crackled in the air. "I've been contemplating a thought," he remarked, his voice steady and resolute. "An unexpected approach." Mark raised an eyebrow. "Unorthodox." For a brief instant, Richard's gaze pierced through me before it returned to Mark. As we grow older, life often unfolds in a continuous loop of what we anticipate. The soul is ensnared by monotony, yet breaking free from the routine and venturing into the unknown brings a rush of exhilaration. I shifted, my stomach twisted, not from the banquet laid out before me. A palpable tension lingered in the air, dense with significance. Mark's brow knitted in concentration. I find myself a bit perplexed. Richard exhaled, considering his words as if they were delicate glass. "I deeply respect you, Mark, and I hold your vows in high regard. I've always believed that certain boundaries can be flexible, especially when the timing is just right." The table was enveloped in silence. My heart pounded in my chest. I felt an unsettling anticipation, knowing that Richard's forthcoming words would irrevocably alter the tranquility of the night. His gaze pierced my soul as he whispered, "What if, just once, we dared to bend those boundaries?" My breath turned into a heavy burden, pressing down on me from the inside. My fingers clutched the stem of my wineglass, quivering with unvoiced tension. Mark's expression was a canvas painted with confusion and shock as he wrestled with the heaviness of the words. In that moment, a chilling wave surged through me, slicing through the restaurant's warmth. My fingers tightened around the wineglass as Richard's words lingered in the air, heavy and oppressive. Mark's eyes widened, a whirlwind of unvoiced thoughts swirling within him. I appreciate your input, Richard, but could you please elaborate on your point? Richard reclined, a gradual, understanding smile spreading across his features. He remained steadfast, as if this dialogue coursed through him like icy blood, methodical, and completely lacking in remorse. I meant every word, he retorted, the wine swirling darkly in his glass. A transformation in existence, an unsettling turn of events. My stomach twisted in knots. Was he genuinely suggesting what I dreaded? I glanced at Mark, hoping he would step in, to draw a line, yet he stayed motionless, absorbed in his own reflections. The silence gripped me, more unsettling than Richard's words. I'm uncertain about your expectations, I finally responded, my tone calm but firm. Richard exhaled, a glimmer of shadowy amusement dancing in his eyes. Simply a reflection, without any expectations. His gaze flickered back and forth between me and Mark. So, you've been in a marriage that spans over 2 decades, correct? Mark nodded, a glimmer of doubt dancing in his gaze. 23. Richard's smile broke through the stillness. It feels like an eternity, a breathtaking marvel, yet it is the enduring unions that truly captivate. Indeed, they undergo a remarkable transformation, don't they? Individuals undergo transformation. Transformation is vital. To spark the fire, one must have the courage to step beyond the comfort of the known. My heart raced, a booming beat echoing in the stillness. The sound of my heart echoed loudly in my ears. Are you proposing we spark a whirlwind of transformation? I inquired, my voice quivering at the brink of stillness. Richard tilted his head, his gaze intense, a tempest swirling inside him. At times, revealing someone you cherish isn't about loss, it's about discovery. A gasp caught in my throat, the implication sliced through the air, leaving no room for ambiguity. He was discussing me, my union, a situation I never envisioned. I turned to Mark, yearning for a signal, a denial, a limit that shouted we were not like them. Yet, rather than displaying anger or disgust, his expression unveiled a more profound reality, uncertainty and apprehension. My stomach churned. Mark, the words escaped, a delicate murmur. He ran his fingers through his hair, letting out a deep sigh before finally shattering the stillness. Richard, I struggle to understand your perspective on our marriage, yet you still haven't said no. Richard interrupted, his glass softly resonating against the table with an eerie chime. His eyes shimmered with an indescribable mystery, a captivating charm that ensnared my heart. Assurance, joy, or anguish? Mark's silence wrapped around us, the tension swirling like a heavy mist. I stifled my fear. What was the reason behind his decision to let this persist? What's causing the uncertainty? What's causing the delay? Pay attention? Richard continued, his voice a gentle tempest. I intend no offense to anyone, this reflects the strength of your connection, rather than any act of betrayal. It's a struggle against limitations. Do those boundaries genuinely exist? A whisper of despair caught in my breath. The gentle notes of jazz slipped away, leaving behind a haunting resonance as the universe contracted to this table, this instant, this excruciating decision Richard had imposed upon us. In an instant, Richard's hand plunged into his pocket, producing a sleek black card that slid effortlessly across the table to Mark, an unspoken tension hanging in the atmosphere. Consider it carefully, he implored. Should curiosity prevail over certainty, you'll know where to seek me out. Mark's eyes were riveted to the card, his body immobilized. It was too much to confront. I had come across men like Richard, exuding power and authority, their cravings so relentless that even the most ludicrous suggestions were steeped in a warped rationale. Never did I envision being in this moment, caught in his gaze, the center of his fascination. I drew in a sharp breath. I needed to break free from that place. I sprang up, the chair screeching against the floor, my heart racing like a drum. This is the moment. We have completed our task. Richard's eyes revealed no surprise. His smile broke through the stillness. Fair enough, he murmured, his hand raised in a delicate sign of surrender. Just a gentle whisper of an idea, nothing more. Mark stirred, liberating himself from the oppressive hold of his reverie. We have to go, he murmured, urgently sliding the untouched card back to Richard. I moved swiftly and decisively. I turned and walked away, the restaurant receding into the distance, the steps of the diners blurring into obscurity. The frigid night air hit my face, a stark reminder, yet my thoughts lingered in a haze. Mark's footsteps reverberated with an unsettling intensity behind me. I expected him to reflect my astonishment, my fear at the turmoil that erupted. His voice broke through the stillness, igniting a wave of disbelief inside me. Was he genuinely serious? I stood still, my heart pounding, breath trapped in my throat. I confronted my husband, my eyes wide and my heart racing, clinging to the hope that I had misheard him. Still, the look in his eyes unveiled the reality I had overlooked. In that moment, a realization hit me, more shocking than Richard's offer. Mark felt utterly broken by Richard's suggestion. He wavered at the brink of a choice. The return was an oppressive emptiness. Mark's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles pale, jaw set, gaze fixed intently on the road ahead. I remained motionless in the passenger seat, my arms clenched, as my thoughts whirled in the aftermath of the turmoil that had just erupted. Richard's words lingered in my mind, echoing with an unsettling resonance. To kindle a flame, one must dive into the abyss of uncertainty. A surge of nausea enveloped me. The moment we stepped inside, I tore off my heels, turning sharply to face Mark, my heart pounding in my chest. I can't believe this is something you're actually considering. He inhaled sharply, his fingers digging into the nape of his neck. He hesitated. That moment of uncertainty cut through me like a shard of ice. I struggled to suppress the heavy burden of hopelessness. Mark, I'm not sure, he admitted, finally meeting my eyes with an intense gaze. You broke it all apart. That's putting it mildly, I hissed. Transcended all limits. And that instant when you decided against ending it all right then. I shook my head, my words caught in the confines of my throat. He took a deep breath, bridging the gap. It hit me with the force of a thunderbolt. All right. It struck me with the force of a lightning bolt. I wasn't either. I found it impossible to dwell on my thoughts. My voice fractured. The weight of the evening presses down upon me. What remains to contemplate, Mark? This is not who we are. He averted his gaze, the weight of the world crashing down as he sank onto the couch. He whispered, I know. But I'm lost. Perhaps he holds a sliver of truth. I locked eyes with him, my gut churning in turmoil. What do you mean by right? Mark gasped, hands clawing at his face, a storm brewing within. 23 years, Liz? A lifetime entwined yet shadows linger. Our hearts collide in a fierce embrace. Our life is a fragile dream teetering on the edge of bliss. But you can't deny it, can you? The cycle repeats. The certainty looms. He looked up, eyes wary, tension crackling in the air. It's a shadow of what it once was, a haunting echo of the past. Arms crossed, heart pounding wildly. Is this truly your answer? No. That's not what I mean, he exclaimed, urgency lacing his voice. I'm lost in my own words. Richard shattered my reality, forcing me to confront the unthinkable. I shook my head, my heart constricting. This is unimaginable. Mark's fingers tangled in his hair, frustration etched across his face. Liz, I'm not declaring my desire to go through with it. I simply... He faltered once more. Why does this idea haunt me so deeply? The earth quaked beneath my feet, a harsh turn of destiny. I found myself in a haunting landscape of my marriage, where my husband took pleasure in deceit. I took a deep breath, struggling to steady myself. Mark, amidst the turmoil in your thoughts, listen closely, this is of utmost importance. I decline. He nodded, a spark of urgency igniting in his gaze. I comprehend. That is everything I require. Is it really? I took the plunge. What if your thoughts spark a blaze of wonder? What comes next? What begins as a simple curiosity transforms into an all-consuming obsession. Mark inhaled sharply, his fingers quivering as they pressed against his brow. My heart belongs to you, Liz. For eternity and beyond. The idea of losing what we have is unbearable to me. Then don't take the chance, I murmured, anguish contorting my voice. The mere idea of it breaks apart all that exists. He looked upward, a tempest gathering in his gaze. I can't bear to lose what we have, he whispered, his voice quivering with emotion. I searched his features, yearning to uncover the man I had once placed my faith in. He hesitated, yet whispers of uncertainty began to emerge. After 23 years, uncertainty gripped my heart for the very first time. Was love genuinely sufficient? The subsequent days were charged with an electric tension, thick with unspoken anxieties and lingering glances. Mark pretended everything was fine, making coffee and asking about my day, yet the tension lingered heavily around us. An oppressive quiet enveloped us, a weighty silence that felt inescapable. A disquieting change gnawed at my core. Mark's words lacked impact, yet the truth lingered, a haunting whisper reverberating in the recesses of his mind. That solitary instant fractured my perception of reality. On Friday night, I found myself alone on the back porch, holding a glass of wine as the sky transformed into vibrant hues of pink and orange. Throughout the week, I found myself revisiting that night at Richard's, dissecting every moment, every glance, every breath. Mark appeared, hesitated for a moment, then fell beside me. The silence wrapped around them, thick and oppressive. You've been silent, he murmured, a quiver in his tone. I exhaled deeply. My mind was overwhelmed by a torrent of thoughts. He nodded, a palpable sense of anticipation hanging in the air. I confronted him, my heart pounding in my chest. Mark, I need to find out. What restrained you on that pivotal evening? What held you back from concluding it at that moment? He turned his eyes away, his fists tightly clenched. I cautioned you that I was caught off guard. The truth resides beneath the surface, I maintained. You hesitated over it. He stifled his fear, meeting my gaze with intensity. Indeed, I certainly did. The revelation hit me hard, a fierce impact to my very being, even though the truth had been simmering in my thoughts. He continued to push for an explanation, unable to understand the rationale. Maybe it was the way Richard conveyed it, as though it were something commonplace. However, lurking beneath the calm, a tempest stirs, poised to break free. A ceremony forged through countless moments together, a reflection of our collective path. In that ephemeral instant, uncertainty stabbed at my soul. Are we oblivious to the reality? I forcefully set my glass on the table, my arms crossed tightly, as the tension in the air became palpable. What comes next? The moment lingers, thick with destiny. Mark inhaled sharply, his breath slipping away like a soft sigh of hopelessness. At this moment, I grasped the reality of our being. Absolutely not. That's not quite right. His hand quivered, ensnared by the burden of doubt before it ultimately reached for mine. Liz, the idea of losing what we have is unbearable to me. I will not allow us to be confined. I scanned his features, yearning for honesty, for regret, for the person I had once recognized. Then we pieced together our broken spirits, I murmured, quaking. Not through the utterances of individuals like Richard, but by holding steadfast to our authentic selves, by fiercely choosing one another each and every day. Mark's hold on my hand tightened, fierce and unrelenting. I select you, for all time to come. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I was able to take a breath. I leaned into him, my head resting heavily on his shoulder. We refused to let anyone else define the core of our affection. His lips grazed my crown, a momentary flicker of warmth in the frigid void. Certainly. The evening stretched on, the tension dissolving into an eerie sense of familiarity. We lingered in quietude, the weight of the previous week finally breaking apart. Richard's whisper of uncertainty resonated, yet it shed light on the core of our reality. Endlessly interwoven.